Thank you for tuning in to the best parenting show on the internet, Post Daily Dose.
It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post. It's the Post. The Post Daily Dose. It's the Post. It's the Post.
Hey, good evening, Facebook family, and welcome to another episode of Post Daily Dose with me, your trusted parenting advisor, faithful guide and servant on the healing journey. What's my name? Big Papa Brian+Post. Hope everyone's doing fantastic on this wonderful Wednesday. It's wonderful because we are breathing, we are healthy, we are alive, and life is good. So, earlier today, as I've been telling you guys, use this time, not just to binge on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, but to actually feed your brain with some good stuff, learn some good stuff. And so today I was watching a podcast, video cast, vlog, what have you, with Mike Tyson. So it's on YouTube. And it's called In the Hot Box with Mike Tyson. And so he interviews all these different people. I have found Mike Tyson to be the most interesting character for a long time. I guess I first learned about Mike Tyson, 25 years ago when he became the heavyweight champion of the world. And you guys might not know this, but I actually have a little boxing background myself. As a young man, I used to duke it up in the ring. And so when Mike Tyson came along, I loved everything that he did in the ring. He was an animal. And so as time went by, and it was started with the first knockout. So I always thought his story was very interesting. Started with the first knockout. And then after the first knockout, I watched him descend. And that's not uncommon with boxers, actually. Boxers can go years and years and years and not ever be knocked out, and then get knocked out one time, and then from there they get knocked out more often. Happens in boxing, happens in UFC. It's actually my understanding, according to the research, is that once a boxer finally does get knocked out, their brain turns on a mechanism that's like a survival mechanism, so that if they ever get hit again at that level, they immediately are knocked out. Like the brain shuts down in order to prevent more damage. And so it's a very interesting thing, but apparently the athlete has to learn how to override it. Anyway, I could go into that for many, many reasons. So I was watching the Hot Box and watching Mike Tyson. He was interviewing Eminem, who's a musician that I like, and Eminem is, a big fan. And in the interview, Mike Tyson started talking about, because they asked Eminem, how is it to be sober? And he's like, it's good. He said, I've been sober for so long now, I don't even really realize it. And Mike Tyson was, oh man, he was like, not me, man. He said, I just mess up. He said, I'm a master of relapse. Took him a moment to get to that, but he said, I'm a master at relapse. He says, I start doing stuff I shouldn't. I start masturbating, and I start watching porn, and then then I start thinking and having sexual thoughts about people I hadn't even had sexual thoughts about, and then from there it just goes downhill, and it's just bad, man. He said, I really can't do it. He said, I'm a master of relapse. And I thought, that is an interesting statement, and it ties into, hello there, Mimi. It ties into what I have. It's so funny. She's always here with me, and she could be in the living room and be like, "Hi, son." It ties into what I have said before about parenting when I talk about the A to Z principle. The A to Z principle, if you look in our society, because we're so obsessed with behaviors, we're always focused on Z. And then when the behaviors actually happen, hey, Jessica, good to see you too. When the behaviors actually happen, where we place all of our attention is on X and Y. So we always focus on X, Y, and Z. Well, I believe that X, Y, and Z are an outcome. And in order to get to an outcome, I call it the A to Z principle, you have to start with A, because you can't get to Z until you start with A. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is the process that dictates the outcome. And furthermore, I believe that if you will not focus so much on X, Y, and Z after an incident has happened. Hello there, Val. After an incident has happened, all you've got to do is go back and review. Go all the way back. When I say all the way back, it could be 24 hours back. It could be 8 hours back. It could be 6 hours back. It could be 2 hours back. It could be an hour. All you've got to do is review. And then you'll see all the different little variables where you could have influenced the outcome. So years and years and years ago, when Mike Tyson was when he was going downhill, he's starting to descend. He was starting to get beat more often. He was getting beat by Evander Holyfield, and he bit Evander Holyfield's ear. I said then, and I think I was lecturing and stuff then, but I was going to write about it because I said then, he's a regressed 2-year-old. He's 2 years old. And I used to watch him in some of his other fights. If he had not knocked you out by round 4, then he was going to get beat. It's because my belief was that he was becoming too stressed. His window of tolerance would wear down really fast, and if he had knocked you out, by the time he hit the 4th round, he had no window of tolerance. And because he had no window of tolerance, his adrenaline would take over, his body would shut down, and he'd start to get knocked out. And so I was saying at that point in time, this was probably 15 years ago, I was saying at that point in time, someone needs to help him with his trauma. Someone needs to help him with his stress, because that's what the problem is. He's stressed out. Of course, no one's listening. Hey, by the way, there's these little stars. I don't know. I can see it here, but I think you guys may have this new little icon. It's a little star. Hello there, Kimberly. Hi, Gene. I'm glad you were able to catch it. There's these little stars. If you hit the stars, it's like, I don't know, it does something, but Facebook sent a message today, says, hey, your fans can hit these little stars, and I think maybe you throw dollars at me, maybe you throw pennies, but anyway, Christy and I were laughing, because it's like, okay, so I'm not dancing for dollars, I'm dancing for pennies. That just doesn't seem right. Anyway, so, I was saying then that someone needs to help him with his stress. So it was so interesting today when he said, I start masturbating, I start watching porn, and before you know it, I'm having bad thoughts, and then bad things happen. He said, I'm the master of relapse. And I thought, that's the A to Z principle. Mike, with all of his success, with all of his money, with all the handlers I know he still has around him, because he's still very childlike, I don't think anyone has yet to really talk to him about his window of tolerance. He's thinking that it's the negative thought. He's thinking that it's the negative behavior that's leading to the relapse. It's not that at all. Mike gets stressed. His window of tolerance wears down. He starts doing things that are self-soothing. The self-soothing creates a self-perpetuating negative cycle, and before you know it, it's escalated into more increasingly negative behaviors. No one's helping him to recognize his stress when his window of tolerance starts to shut down. And that's what's so important for you as parents. It's okay to have a behavior episode with your kid. That's not the problem. The behavior episode isn't the problem. You're going to have behavior episodes as adults. Kids are going to have behavior episodes, especially traumatized kids are going to have behavior episodes. The challenge is when we can go all the way back and analyze the process. What is the process that dictates the outcome? And what can you do? What can you do in the midst of the process to change the outcome? And if you don't do that, that's okay. After the whole incident has happened, revisit it and reevaluate it and investigate it and think about how you can do it differently the next time, because the next time's going to happen. It will happen again. We already know this. We know it's going to happen again. Why do we know it's going to happen again? Because it is a brain pathway for yourself and for your child. We're choosing pathways. Until those pathways have been reworked, until that amygdala has been given a new experience, a new opportunity to create a new pathway, we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you have to look at the outcome. Stop judging it. Stop judging the outcome. You are a wonderful parent. You are a wonderful parent. You are a wonderful parent. Stop judging the outcome just because you screw up. Your children are wonderful. They're beautiful. They're reacting from things they've experienced oftentimes long before you ever came along. Stop judging the outcome and start paying attention to the process. Anyway, it's a great interview with Mike. It's in the hot box with Mike Tyson. This particular episode was with Eminem, interviewing Eminem. You guys aren't going to really want to watch it unless you're a Mike Tyson fan. And then if you're watching it just to see this part that I'm talking about, it's all the way at the end, like 5 minutes to the end. Master of Relapse. Mike, you don't have to be a master of relapse any longer, my brother. You just need to have someone help you become mindful of your window of tolerance and when it starts to get small, because then, boom, that's when the scary stuff happens. God bless you. Big Papa loves you. Remember, in any given situation, we always have two choices. We can continue to react from the same blueprints of stress, fear, and overwhelm, or we can stop, we can slow down, take 3 to 10 deep breaths, and choose love. And I hope you all will choose love. And one last thing. Any screw up is perfect learning opportunity. Hey, buddy. That's right, Stefan. Hey there, Amy. One last thing. Adoption Clinical Services, which is my company connected to Parents in Training in Northern California, now has its own Facebook page. Adoption Clinical Services. So go there and like it and follow it. We have some cool things. I don't think it's private. I think it's public. Just like yesterday, we had one of our coaches. He did a yoga class. How cool is that? And then we're going to work on one of our chefs doing a cooking class. How cool is that? And you and your family and your kids can tag along. Just support us. We're doing the best we can during all of this madness. And I hope you guys are too. See you tomorrow.